Today I'm going to show you how to do a standard search using the CCDF Policies Database search tool. This tool allows you to customize your search to see the variables, states, and time frame that you are interested in. First, we'll select a policy category. On the left side of the screen, you'll see that the steps in the search process are numbered, and next to each numbered step is an information button. If you click on the button, it will give you additional information useful for each step. For example, if I click on the information button next to select a policy category, the box that appears provides a description of the structure of the categories and also gives a link to the full database documentation. Now let's say I want to know state policies on asset tests. In step 1, I will click on Select an Option. This shows every policy category available. I will then click on Asset Tests. Now I will move to step 2. Selecting policy variables. After you click on a policy category in step 1, a link will show up on the left side of the screen under step 2 that says, "Click here for more information about your selected category's available policy variables." Clicking this link will create a new tab in my browser that describes every variable within the selected policy category. I can review this information to decide what variable or variables I want to select. Once I have made that decision, I can go back to the Search Page tab in my browser, move my mouse over to the drop-down menu for Step 2, and click on the Select Option box. This will display all the variables within a policy category. At the top of the box, I can click Check All to click on every variable, or I can individually click on specific variables that I want. I will click Check All since I want every variable on asset tests. For step 3, I will select the state or territory that I am interested in. When I move my mouse to the Select Option button next to step 3 and click on the box, a list of every state and territory that the database has policy information on for this policy variable will appear. Just as we saw when we were selecting policy variables, I can check all the states and territories by clicking the Check All button, or I can select individual states and territories. I will click on the Check All button to see asset test policies for all states and territories. Next, in step 4, I will select the date of the policies that I am interested in. There are 3 options when using the search tool. The first option is to select the policies as of October 1st for 1 or more years. This aligns with the project's annual reports and the start of the federal fiscal year. The second option is to select policies as of an exact date. After you select the exact date option, you can type in the date you want to match or select the date from the calendar that appears. The third option is to select policies for the entire calendar year or years. This option will display all the records for the selected year, showing if policies change within the selected years. If I want to select the policies as of October 1st of 2015, I will move my mouse to click on As of October 1, and in the Select Option box next to it, I will click on 2015. Like previous Select All boxes, I can also check all years with the simple Check All button. Step 5 is to decide on what level of detail I would like my data. The Primary Policy option shows a single set of policies for each state, and we'll choose the policies that affect the largest population of the state. The All Policies or Variations option will show all the policy variations in a state or territory and may result in multiple rows of information for a state or territory if there is variation by substate area, family type, or provider type. There is also an option to show more filters. If I click this option, additional filters will appear below. This allows me to filter based on substate policies and family characteristics for all categories, and by provider type and subtype for provider-related categories. I will click on the Primary Policy option for this example. When I am done with steps 1 through 5, I will click the orange search button below. While the database is pulling the information requested, a notification will say, "Please wait," below the search tool to let you know that it is processing your request. It will then produce tables below the search button that contain the information requested. The output will show up as 2 tables. The first table captures the policies requested, and the second table shows notes about the policy variables selected. In the first table, the first few columns of the table show identifying information, including the state name and the time period for each row that the policies apply to. Following those first few columns are the policy variables that I have selected in step 2. For most policies in the database, there is a variable field and then a notes field for individual variables. The notes field captures additional policy details when relevant to that variable. There is also a category notes field for every variable in the database. The category notes show up as the last column in the table. In the table with the policy details, if you had selected to see policy changes over time or to see variations within a state, that information would show up across multiple rows for a state. Because I selected to see the primary policy in each state for a single point in time, my results will show as a single row per state. There are several ways to save or print this data. You can export the tables to CSV by clicking the Export Table to CSV button. Export the tables to Excel by clicking the Export Table to Excel button, or directly print the tables by clicking the Print Table button. Note that you will have to complete this step separately for the Output table and the Additional Notes table. You can go back at any time and change any of the past decisions and create a new search. And that is how you do a basic search using the CCDF Policies Database website. If you have any questions about this process, please go to the contact page here and fill out the form to send your question to a project staff member.